What's going on? We are back for another episode of Notes of a Goon. I am your host, Chris Vega. My Star Wars producer, Michael Harrington, is fucking dead, but I have a great guest here. Rob Bernstein from the Run Your Mouth podcast, from the Part of the Problem podcast, in the building. What's going on, Rob?
I will say it's a little disappointing to come in here without Harrington. I feel like half the thrill of the show is giving him shit.
I feel like Harrington was your original co-host.
We did a lot of good episodes together. He was a lot of fun to radio with.
I inherited Harrington from
I don't like him as a person, but as a person to do radio with, he's quite pleasurable.
He's fine as a person. He's great as an on-air producer. He is terrible at anything business related.
I'm learning that as we're running this brewery show down in Maryland together.
Oh, and his stance is Robbie is an incredibly neurotic Jewish person. And I'm like, no, I think Robbie just wants to make sure you get paid, idiot.
Yeah, and by the way, so relaxed on this one because it's like the 9th thing on my important to-do list. So It's just like I get around to it. So that's funny that his stance even on this one's neurotic because it's like peak chill of...
He's so aloof that you're most relaxed. That's just how off the cuff aloof he is. I don't know. It's basically a free range child roaming around the Harrington household at this point. That kid's on her own.
Yeah. Listen, I'm not overwhelmingly successful by any metric.
Okay.
But, they always say to hang out. It's great Robert Greene line, if you ever read his book, The 48 Laws of Power, which is essentially seek out people different than you. It's the best therapy you can have. Okay. And it's because sometimes you actually hang out with winners and you see their personality and you see what it takes. Like I got a buddy who lives out in Reno. He lives in Lake Tahoe. Okay. Very wealthy.
Fantastic.
Deep ass in mining business. I don't even know how he made his fortune. But that guy wakes up at 5 a.m, gets his workout in, doesn't eat until 2 p.m. and he's eating eggs, like only drinks water that he's personally harvested out of the mountain. He's on calls all day. And then you spend time with him and you're like, oh, this is what hard work looks like.
It sounds exhausting.
It is exhausting, but that's why he's successful. So I'm saying It's funny when there's people like Harrington that are around people that are just slightly more successful, but instead of looking at the work that they're doing and going, oh, maybe that's the amount of work I should be putting into things, they look at the more successful person and go, why is that guy behaving this way?
Yeah, that's, you know what? Incredibly fair point. I'm going to go with this, though, the converse of that.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's good to be around people with similar foibles to you.
Okay.
That are incredibly less successful than you.
So you can see how much it hampers getting ahead in life.
Exactly. So I would say this, like as somebody who had like kind of a rough childhood, had some like trauma with like my parents dying young and all this. I saw the couple of guys I knew whose parents died before me and had to deal with sick parents, like kind of use that as this weird point of getting attention. And how it turned them into drug addicts who, like, maybe they got some temporary, like, pity pussy, and then that was gone, and I went...
Don't want to be that.
Never.
Can I call out horse shit on trauma?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Thank you. I think one of the hardships of life is that you download programming as a child, and part of being a good adult and developing consciousness is observing bad behavior patterns and trying to change those bad behavior patterns.
I mean, I've smoked crack cocaine literally one time because everybody says you can't only smoke crack one time.
And you wanted to prove that you could do it.
Well, my mother was addicted to crack.
Right.
So I was like, I'm going to
prove that I'm better than mom.
Smoke $100 worth of crack to the face alone in my house and never touch it again. And yeah, I'm proved by one generation more genetically evolved than this person. Yeah. I don't have the recessive shitty trait
that
is
your
now
way
being
of rebelling
bred out.
Against mom is going, look, this was a choice.
Yeah. You're not. Yeah, you don't have demons. And don't get me wrong. It took about 3 years before I didn't I'd say once every couple months go, man, I go for some crack.
Now, I think, not that I do therapy, but I think there's value to a lot of things. But this idea that trauma is in your muscles or your...
Oh, the body keeps the score?
Your body keeps the score, and then the only way to overcome it is by my whatever system.
Well, wasn't the guy that wrote The Body Keeps the Score, wasn't he like kind of... I don't know if it was even a guy, but I believe the author of that book was also instrumental in the Satanic Panic
Yeah, that makes sense. You got to go out in the woods and scream it out of you, or that's just some dumb guru selling you on something.
I'd say screaming alone in a room is helpful, but only if you're very frustrated because you've lost your wallet.
Oh.
No, I mean like screaming while you come if you're having a hard time coming is so therapeutic.
I love the idea of actually doing that while you're having sex, and then like the person's uncomfortable with it, and you're like, no, I need to do this for me. It helps with my trauma. So you're both being like a beta fuck of like therapy and this and imposing on that person, but then also being somewhat alpha that you're like, I will yell into your face during sex, and you will fucking take this because it's for me.
Well, there's actually a great video that we can go. Nat is helping me out, and I told her she didn't really have to do much for the show, but would you pull up a video for me now?
Absolutely.
There's a video called Ragegasm. It's a 1970s orgy video. Last I saw it was on eFucked. So if you typed Ragegasm eFucked into Google, I bet it would come up. Now, the way this man comes in this orgasm, in this orgy, I'm talking about the fact that it's making 70s porn stars blush. And so I think this is something that you do alone with a partner you're trusting in or who is such a drug addict that they won't remember the next day. Yeah. Anytime I've ever screamed during sex, it's because I couldn't come because of the drugs in me.
Right.
Or like sometimes there's a pressure thing. Have you ever have trouble coming during sex?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Because usually, I'd say for most men, 90% of the game is almost getting past the point where you don't come too quick.
Right.
And now you're like, now I'm coasting. But sometimes you push that a little too far, now you're like, now I'm fucked.
I find more often than not, once you get over that thing, then coming becomes a challenge.
Okay.
But I like that. I find that makes sex more fun.
Yeah.
You got to get.
Now you got to get back to it.
Yeah, and also I always wear rubbers, so that will change the dynamic of the ease of which. You might be able to ejaculate.
That's because you only have sex with Congolese women.
Exactly. I don't know what is Congolese women.
I
was just thinking of Condoleezza Rice.
Oh no, Congolese. The Congo is. I was thinking of the rubber plants in the Congo that King Leopold.
I do have it. I'm sorry, I'm struggling with this vMix package, but I will show it on the screen, and you guys will just be off screen.
Oh yeah, that's fine. I can't show it on YouTube anyway.
This really stood out to you that you watched this. How many times did you watch this? Was this like the one porn you had as a kid? So you watched?
No. I found this in the early days of the internet. This is eFuck. So but I've showed it to maybe a dozen people. So
can I guess the noise beforehand? Is it like an elephant trunks type deal or?
No, this is just a man that it seems like he's screaming out trauma in the woods. That's what made me think of it was when you said that. So
all right,
let's just pull this up. You'll hear it in a second. This is just this guy.
Oh, that's aggressive.
First of all, he's got the towel around the hips.
Yeah, that's a good move.
Look at this girl. She's like, what is happening over there? She's laughing at him. You don't want a gap-toothed hooker laughing at you ever.
Yeah, that's uncomfortable.
Looks like you did a good.
Didn't it look like at the end when he like finally nuts that he's like looking around and going, "Oh fuck, there's people here." he almost felt like he was dreaming and then woke up from a dream.
If you're the lady, you're happy that there's other people around.
Oh,
can you imagine being alone with that?
Did you see the guy in front of her trying to fuck her mouth and then like kind of giving up on it because she's just so
turned off and alarmed by what the fuck is happening over there?
Yeah, I would also imagine her pussy immediately dried up and his dick now has scar tissue on it, so it's going to be even harder to come.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Hey, it makes me feel better about me. Usually you watch porn, you feel worse about yourself in the way that you pursue it. At least I've never done that to a lady.
I'll be honest though, I have, because of that video, I was like, I could use a towel that way.
I had an experience where a lady, I've never done this joke. I have it like in a notebook.
Okay.
That to me, sex is supposed to be a north-south activity. Mm-hmm. And sometimes women, bad with directions, they start going east-west.
Okay.
They start making zigzags, or like my penis is not zigzagged. I don't know what you're doing.
You haven't had sex with enough Latin women, but we'll get back to that another time.
So sometimes, you gotta hold them in place because they're getting lost. and so you gotta.
I've had women drift while they were on top. They start drifting, and you're like, "Where are you going?"
No, I find that they're just following my curve. That's a pro move. That means they got they've squatted, they know what they're doing.
Gotcha.
I've had more like doggy style where like they think I'm a black guy and they start
they start thinking there's more dick there?
Yeah, they start thinking there's too much dick there. They're doing the jiggle, they're doing the this, and then sometimes like your arms get too tired gripping. So one time, I hadn't seen this, but I took my shirt and I put it around the tummy, and I was like, this is a good move. I'm going to write this one down.
All right.
Someone should have told me this.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
This works great.
Yeah.
By the way, just for all the audience out there looking at my stupid Jew mouse face, which I hate this beard. It's going to have to go, especially in this lighting. I don't have I sound a lot cooler. I'm an old man. So you have sex 3-4 times a year. It starts adding up over the years.
That's true.
Yeah.
I will say that after a while, you're just like, well, it seems like I've had a good amount of sex.
Yeah.
You've got the hours in.
Yeah.
Over
Just by over time of being an old man. Can I totally change topics off of sex for a second?
Sure.
Because my ADD, dude. I haven't been to the studio in a while.
Uh-huh.
Studio looks great. It's nice to be back in my old stopping grounds. The rats have gotten aggressive.
Oh, you haven't been in the East Village in a while.
I mean, what is going on?
It's pretty bad.
Usually they're on the outskirts. You hear them moving around. You see them in your peripheral.
Well, so
this one charged at my foot as I'm walking back here like I was food.
Well, you've heard my theory. Have we talked about my theory on why the rats got more aggressive in the last 5 years? So rat generations. There's a great book about rats that came out like years ago I read. But rats will follow the same path to food, even if it doesn't make sense.
Right.
They'll follow the exact same way they walk to get to the garbage pile that they eat at every day. And so that usually avoiding any sort of people sounds or smells. For 5 years during COVID, particularly in like neighborhoods like this, there was nobody around really. Like there was a lot of the people that live in these expensive apartments in Manhattan just weren't here. So the rats got very brazen. And so that's generational. Like it's like that kind of information where like a lion cub knows where the fucking water to drink is. You know what I mean? Like, so that happens very quickly because they die in 2-3 years. So
the body keeps the score.
Well, that's a little different. It's not there. All right, maybe. Fine. It has nothing to do with human trauma.
I'm so sorry.
It has to do with rats eating food. I feel like, yeah, your body keeps the score of food because you can get fat. But I'm just saying, it's like, so rats have these paths that they take that are like ingrained in their brains, right? And so they got more aggressive because they were not used to humans being around. So now you're just in their path where they get food. And then for 5 years, there were these COVID shacks. Now the COVID shacks are gone. And these rats don't know what the fuck to do. I think they're running around blind. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't know how to fucking exist as rats anymore.
We can't get drones that just fucking snipe the shit out of these things.
Rats? You want them to shoot past the people to the rats?
Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
I think you need less of a drone, more of like a Roomba with maybe blades on it.
Bladed Roombas.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, we're not at a point now that we can overcome this rat thing. We've just given up to the rats and saying it's inevitable.
Well, I mean, if we were going to give up to the rats, I think it would have been during the Black Plague.
I feel like if I were to quit comedy, I'd want to become a full-time rat killer and invent
an exterminator. You mean?
No, I want to go bigger than that. I want to be in a lab and I want to figure out the next poison that's.
You want to build the better mousetrap.
I want to eradicate. I want to be the guy who eradicates
you could
rats
be the
and
eradicator.
mice. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
Like, we can't get, like, lasers that just, like, turn on all these floors underground at certain hours and just slices through everything that's down there type deal. Like,
what about the alligators?
I'm okay with killing a couple alligators. It means we're going to get rid of the rats. I'll spare a couple homeless people.
Oh, yeah, I mean, sure. The alligators are worth more than the homeless
people. Yeah, and then you can poison the homeless people ahead of time so that once you slice through them and their dead piles there, when the rats come and eat that, they get poisoned too.
That's actually not a bad idea. I mean, to be fair, if you eat homeless person, I think you're going to get poisoned. They're mostly fentanyl.
Right. You think rats would die if they ate dead homeless?
Possibly. Either that or they'd start asking for change. Who the fuck knows?
It's contagious.
Do you think whatever comes from them, it's like a reverse zoological fucking disease jump?
I love that, a rat in the subway with the cup because they caught homelessness.
Yeah.
It's like becoming a zombie.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I actually would also be worried about if we killed all the rats. If, like, let's say we can magically kill all the rats. I wonder how many roaches the rats eat. And that might be a fucking problem.
Do rats eat roaches?
Yeah.
Don't like roaches.
No, I think they're worse than rats.
That's
if you ever had rats in your apartment, you never have more than 4.
really.
I don't, because they keep other rats out. Like they fight each other.
They keep the turf.
Yeah. Whereas roaches, they'll just pile on top of each other.
These are interesting things I don't want to think about.
Yeah. Yeah. I never even really thought about it until I knew somebody who lived in extreme poverty conditions with a lot of roaches. And then I asked him, and he said, I hadn't seen a roach in a while. I feel like the rats ate them all.
Ugh.
And I never even fucking thought about it, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, rats will eat anything, so they're going to eat roaches.
That's where you got to be an alcoholic to go to bed. That's where you're stuck in the poverty alcoholic trap. Because if you're already in an apartment and you can't move and you've got either roaches and rats and you got to go to sleep, you can't do that sober.
No, of course not.
No.
I think you're beyond fucking just booze.
Yeah, you need...
That's more than an edible situation, too. You need fucking heavy tranks.
Yeah, you need to escape reality and wake back up and not deal with it in the morning.
All right.
You gotta live in that trap.
We could have kept talking about fucking.
We can go back to it.
Now we're stuck here. Well, you said the thing about women thinking that you're a black guy and then that becoming a problem. I've known girls who have come back, like white girls who have come back from black, which I know they say is impossible.
Oh.
And I remember I was in a bar with my friend once, and there was an aggressive making out, white girl, black dude.
Right.
And she goes to me, she just says jokingly, she's like, she's having a drink. She goes, that's like her 1 through 3rd black guy. She's like, she doesn't normally hook up with black guys. I was like, what do you mean? She's just trying to impress him.
Trying to impress the black?
She goes, that's what you do when you first hook up with black guys. You just try to impress them by going fucking way too hard.
Oh.
She goes, they don't even really give a shit. It's the same.
You mean white chicks chasing black dudes?
Like, they're like... She was like, yeah, when a white girl first starts hooking up with black guys,
right?
They go a little excessive.
Okay.
And that's why black guys think that white girls are extra freaky, and white guys are always like, what are you talking about?
Fascinating.
Yeah. Because they're trying to impress.
Interesting.
Because they're actually the person objectifying often in that situation.
So you're saying I'm not even going to say the joke. All right.
No, I would like to hear it.
I edited it for good reason, and I don't do that too often.
All
so
right. Yeah, that's pretty rare.
That is pretty rare.
All right.
So I'm going to keep it in the edited category.
All right. Well, we'll switch gears then. Fucking as a Jew, how you feeling about this Trump taking over Gaza?
All right. I mean,
first as a Jew, then as a libertarian, and then as somebody who just really respects real estate development.
Well, I'm happy that he did it because he bailed me out of my Gaza rubble position. It wasn't looking good.
What was your rubble position?
I bought in on Gaza rubble early in the war.
Really?
Yeah, and people were telling me that I was going to take a tanking on it, and now that Papa Trump's going to build it up,
gotcha.
I'm getting a bailout.
Gotcha.
I mean, listen, I think to reward Israel for what happened and for bombing these people. And I don't know if you watched the press conference, but it was, I mean, it's as glorious of a speech as when Nixon was preaching why we were defaulting on our debt and going because we got to punish the speculators who are ruining American sovereignty or whatever the fuck that word is that I always mess up. But the fact
is also when he cut off the gold standard for foreign investors, right?
No, it's just he literally took us off the gold standard, which, in my opinion, was the one thing that was keeping us from reckless spending. And obviously, we had already done too much reckless spending. I don't want to get too into the weeds because it gets boring, but essentially, he took us off the gold standard, which was defaulting on our debt. Mm-hmm. But he gave this great speech about how it's the reckless speculators that are ruining America, and so we have to combat them. And admitted no guilt for that we had spent so much money that we could no longer exchange gold at the promised for price because we had devalued our own currency and had defaulted on our debt, which is crazy. Donald Trump is that good of a sales guy that this was the same thing of, well, he made it sound like aliens had invaded Earth and these people are just unlucky that all the bullets from the aliens are falling here. And so we have to experiment that maybe someone else would have better luck here. And so we're going to build it up for the people of the area. He doesn't explain who the people of the area are.
He did say at some point afterwards that they're not going to want to come back. They're going to live in such great places.
Which, what you think the ghettos that you build for these people in Saudi Arabia are going to be nicer? And then also at some point it becomes personal where it's like, nah, I'm going to stand and protect this pile of fucking rubble because fuck you.
Well, this is the worry, right? That's what's going to happen.
All right. So here's the thing. I think what Israel's done is inexcusable, and then to reward them with giving them that area makes no sense. If you are going to do something that aggressive, you at least need to cut these people epically good checks that they can actually live good lives.
Or at least buy a home.
Or at least go buy a home. I do, however, and I'm stealing from Clint from Liberty Lockdown on this, there's a part of me that thinks Trump is actually fucking with everybody here, where he's looking at Netanyahu and saying the U.S. will own it, because he's essentially saying, hey, if people are just grabbing shit and claiming it, those were our bombs, so then we own it. You don't own it. Which I think is...
I don't hate that, but I don't like the idea of nation building in Gaza.
The whole thing is terrible, but it's... Here's the problem with Trump is that sometimes you give him too much credit, where he has enough wins, and sometimes he is playing 4D chess that you don't... He's such a loose cannon, sometimes you don't actually know what he's doing.
Okay.
And so if what he's talking about is forcibly evicting these people from the area and rewarding Israel for bombing and flattening it, that now Israel gets to have it, that's unexcusable.
Sure.
I don't think anyone in America is going to support that. I don't think anybody likes that, and it's bad news. If he's actually just fucking with Netanyahu and saying, hey, if someone just gets to own this now, it's us because we're the ones that actually bombed it and we're just going to claim it. And I don't know exactly where he goes from there, but maybe it actually, cools back Netanyahu, who seems to have dirt on everybody and be the biggest boss in the room.
Yeah, I mean, that's how he acts.
Yeah, that certainly is the way it acts.
He's got the Epstein tapes.
I think that's what's going on. That is the way it appears. So the answer is the optics of it, everything about it sounds totally reprehensible, to the degree that even Jewish people I know that this whole time have been supporting Israel, I asked them about this, like, oh, you can't do that. In the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, but you're okay with just bombing these people's homes. Why is this the line in your head?
But
even to the people that this
because to them, they thought Israel would just have it, right?
No, it's not. No, that they were...
What did people think was going to happen after you literally... are there any buildings with structural integrity left in Gaza?
Because people can delude themselves into the bullshit of, hey, Israel's moral and they're just going after the terrorists, and so this needs to be done in order to get rid of the terrorists. And they completely ignore, the civilian lives, that's overstated. Oh, it's because they martyred themselves. Whatever fuck people have wanted, they can come up with their own rationalizations. Mm-hmm. But when all of a sudden...
I mean, the Americans were just going after the Japanese spies when they interned them. The
but I'm saying,
Germans were just going after the moneylenders. Whatever it is.
Israel is at least lying and saying, we need to do this for our safety. When Trump comes in and goes, we're just taking the land from these people... He's not even lying so that you can buy into the lie and feel okay with it.
Yeah.
That's why people don't like Trump. I've said this before.
100%. It's not, it just, I've said this too. It's like, I feel like for all of the fucking liberals I grew up with who protested down at Occupy Wall Street and all this shit, and it feels like I was the only one that was being honest when I said I hate the fucking government. Because as soon as Trump came in and they're like, social norms. I was like, I thought we hated all these fucking cunts because they refuse to talk like regular people and they pearl clutch and then they fucking lie. And it's like, turns out you guys were fucking perfectly happy with the veneer.
It was, I've called it they prefer a more dignified rapist. They understand that what the president does is terrible.
They're like a Brock Turner as opposed to a R. Kelly.
Yes. They want someone who will lie to them, pet their hair, say... they want a mob boss where the guy's going out and doing dirty shit and killing people for money. They want a John Gotti.
They want Nino Brown handing out turkeys.
But coming back home at night and going, sweetie, we helped out the kids today. They like someone that will lie to them. And then Trump came around and he stopped lying to them and going, no, we're a bunch of evil fucks. Here's all the things we're doing in the world. And people are like, I want to be back in the illusion. I want to pretend like we're nice. Give me Obama. Lie to me. That's what they're really saying. So this is the same thing, is that he crossed the line where he's being more honest about the situation. Mm-hmm. And that goes past people's comfort zone because there's no lie there to make them feel okay about it.
All right, this is a weird thing. Just because you mentioned Obama, I'm not saying this would be a good thing for the country, but let's say they did get rid of presidential term limits.
Okay.
Would the Obama-Trump election be entertaining to you?
Yeah.
From just a pure, what the fuck is going to happen?
Yeah,
it's like watching Jake. It's like the anticipation of a Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight. Not the actual fight.
No,
it's the build to it.
That's not Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. That's actually seeing Bone Jones fight Francis Ngannou. You're actually getting the two best at the game right now.
But different styles.
No, but that's a fascinating matchup, and it would largely depend on, like right now, Trump's riding a high.
Mm-hmm.
So if you put right now Trump up against Obama, I think Trump wins. 4 years from now, I don't know that everything. I don't know that Trump's going to have that much goodwill. It will actually depend on where the economy's at.
Yeah.
But Obama Trump's a great matchup because so much of the Obama infrastructure, which was like kind of the woke nonsense, is gone down a hill, and people don't like. He's lost a lot of his cool factor. People don't like the preachiness anymore.
Well, that's
and
also
they don't like the racial divisiveness.
when you make a bunch of bad movies.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a row, and people gave you the fucking pass on one, and then you do a fucking podcast with fucking Bruce Springsteen, who's like, there's nothing. All right, there's nothing more fake.
Job.
There's nothing
Fucking
more
fake
fake working man,
jersey.
blue collar bullshit than Obama and Bruce Springsteen, the two fakest blue collar guys that ever existed.
I'm a big fan of classic rock. Never liked Bruce Springsteen.
No, he
never
sucks.
liked his music, and people love him. They're like so obsessed with him.
He stinks.
Working man jersey. I never got it at all.
Yeah. Glory Days sucks. Every Bruce Springsteen song sucks.
He doesn't even. I don't know the whole thing. It's I got no defense of Bruce Springsteen. I don't get it.
Yeah, I've always hated Bruce Springsteen. I think the first 3 episodes of this show are just me getting mad at Harrington for liking
Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, he would like Bruce Springsteen.
Of course he would.
Yeah, that's so
He's
Harrington.
not paying attention to lyrics.
No, it's just that's so Harrington. And to really sell how great Bruce is and how you're a dumbass that you just don't get it. And it empowers him.
I've considered.
I bet he conceived his kid listening to Bruce Springsteen.
I've considered buying him tickets to Bruce Springsteen, knowing that he would bring Alex, and just having to talk to her about how much less attracted she is to him after. Having to see him weep for another man.
I think I don't understand why, but I think she likes all of his goofiness, so I don't think that would actually ruin it. But it's still funny to have that bully side of your head where you're like, if I can just show his wife and mother of his child him enjoying himself.
Well, I feel like he would better himself because he wants to keep making her horny.
He just thinks I'm being neurotic when I'm being so relaxed about something. He would not have that, I can't be this much of a dork in front of my wife. Like, he doesn't have that.
Yeah.
And I think she likes that he has that level of freedom. So
okay.
Yeah.
All right, maybe I'm
Which I do respect that about Mike Harrington is the freedom he has of no self-consciousness.
Motherfucker lost 20 pounds and bought 13 medium shirts. Like he wasn't
funny.
Still morbidly obese.
I wish I had that. That's that's what gets you married with a kid. So God bless Harrington.
All right. Well, while we're talking about some of the politics stuff, and because you're here, very important political news. Do you think Kid Rock fucked Lauren Boebert?
For sure. And I think Tony Hinchcliffe watched. She was there with Tony Hinchcliffe, and they claimed that Tony Hinchcliffe was hanging out with her at Skankfest.
Yeah, but I don't think that was true.
That's what people said in the green room.
Didn't
I
we
didn't
run
see
into
it.
her? Didn't you tell me that you saw her?
Someone
in the green
told
room?
me.
I think I told you that somebody told me that Lauren Boebert was hanging out with Tony Hinchcliffe, and then I saw the chick that Tony was with, and it was definitely not Lauren Boebert.
Okay, here's the thing. Lauren Boebert, the way she was bouncing around in front of Kid Rock, she was almost certainly looking for it. Now, sometimes I've experienced this. Women, they will pretend like they're looking for it just so that they know that they can get the yes and then feel good about themselves and then go turn it around to be like, I'm not a slut, we're not doing this, because they got the one thing they were looking for,
they got
which
seen
is
getting into a cab at 2:30 in the morning.
And just hey, I was attractive enough that this that's the one thing that they want is to check their attractive status and to go, I could have done that and I don't even want to do the thing. I got what I wanted out of this, which was the attention and validation of I have enough status that Kid Rock would want to take me from a party. However, in this case, I think she's looking for action because I saw the way she was getting her tits weirdly petted. I've never petted tits like that.
Okay.
I like tits. I wouldn't go over that. It doesn't make sense. That's the wrong side of the bottom side in front of the tits. What's fun? Who's petting the upper region?
People who don't like to fucking leave things untouched. You know what I mean?
You mean like you got to, but you would start from then you're going from the center
Nat,
and
you
the
have
tops.
Tits.
You wouldn't come.
I do.
Okay. Do you ever get annoyed at men who neglect areas of the tits? Or anybody, any
Would you think it was weird if some guy was just going for the top of the like?
I think only the top is weird.
Well, it's what you saw was only the top. And didn't she just have cleavage out?
She did have a lot of cleavage out.
So there you
Then
go.
I kinda
You're
get it.
actually
He
touching the tit.
He looked like an alien who had never seen tits and didn't know what to do with them. Like in the 4-year-old virgin, the way he's like, they feel like sand.
Well, it might be 30 years since he's seen real tits.
Well, I don't think she has real tits.
Oh, you think those are fake?
Yeah, look at how tiny her body is. Can you show her with her trashy tattoos and whatnot? Anyways, I think Bobert's looking to party. I think she's looking for the action. She's concerned about who she can go out with after that incident. Kid Rock is a win for her. Conservative, rock and roller. He's not going to spill the beans. She's not going to end up in the newspaper. So I think.
Well, I mean, hold on. She ended up in the newspaper for the same reason she ended up in the newspaper for this one.
But
It's the publicness of it.
It
and
wasn't.
She's a
It
congressman.
wasn't. It wasn't set up. There wasn't camera. Like I think she was actually set up in that one, and she knows it, and so she's on edge. So to be out drinking at 2 a.m, run into Kid Rock.
Hold on. You think she thought she was set up when she was at not Beetlejuice the movie, Beetlejuice the musical,
Right.
rubbing a guy's cock and vaping?
Yeah, I think she walked away after that incident, played back in her head where she had met the guy and all of the other interactions and the fact that there was security footage of the incident. And I think she thinks that people on the left were actually specifically out to get her.
Oh yeah,
and
those
that's
might
how
be fake tits.
and that's how she ended up on that date. Can you do the beach?
Sorry, this is so blurry. Yeah, here.
You got to do the beach photo where she's got the tribal tats. Yeah, over on the left.
This one?
No,
Nope.
you're a lesbian. Why are you?
Sorry,
You should
my
be able
bad,
to
my
spot
bad.
this as quickly as me.
Are those that? Wait, she actually has that tattoo?
I think so. That's a great tat. I mean, I wouldn't like it long term. I wouldn't date someone who had it, but
This
like that.
this disqualifies you from being a sitting member of Congress more than any of the other stuff.
It looks
This
like she
bad of a
wanted
tat?
it to be this big, and it ended up taking her whole body.
It looks like she absorbed the soul of a diner waitress, and as punishment, God put her varicose veins on her stomach. That's what this tattoo.
How tall is she? Like 5'1", 5'2"?
I can find that up.
She's got a dorky face and a hot, tight little body.
Yeah, I mean that's fucking. Everybody loves that. That's
Everybody
a great,
loves
that's a,
that.
That's a great combination.
5
of
foot
things.
tall.
5 feet
5
tall.
feet tall.
Oh, fantastic.
And they claim because Lauren, I'm sorry, she's
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
no, Alina.
Oh, Luna.
Luna, she's the hottest lady
She's
in Congress.
100%.
And I'm not. I like
Not even
I
close.
like the dorky whites more than the Latinas, but
Oh
she's
no, but she's
gorgeous.
so hot.
And
What are you even doing in Congress? Just start an OnlyFans, lady. What the fuck?
she should. They claim that she was a stripper in Florida.
I believe it.
Yeah, can you pull up pictures of this
This
lady?
is just for us because we're not even putting this on YouTube. But sure, and whatever. Me and Harrington have pulled up pictures of this lady.
So,
enough times.
firstly,
What's her name? Because Alina Luna is coming up as a singer.
I want to say Adriana Luna, but that's definitely a porn star.
Just hottest Congress lady. Luna.
Okay, got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll find it. Everybody knows.
Yeah.
There's lots of bikini photos of her holding.
You're a
like,
lesbian.
AKs.
You'll get wet over there. You'll know exactly.
Anna Paulina Luna?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. Here, hold
It just sounds too much like Adriana. And there's
Even if
Adriana
she didn't
Lima
have a good
and
body,
Adriana
her
Luna.
face is pretty, but then her body's like a perfect.
It's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Where are these pictures already?
Yeah, I'll fucking dump an anchor baby into this lady.
Was she in the army, or is that just?
I think
her
that's
looking...
just. Yeah, that's just.
Yeah, that's just
the
when she was doing the OnlyFans.
Yeah.
And show
Nat,
us
thoughts.
Would.
Yeah. All right.
Show us her ass. She's got a great ass. Show us the
Fantastic ass.
She's got the thong. There's a picture of her in the blue.
But
the
I don't
blue,
like that she's. I think we need to bring antitrust charges against her because she's for deporting all these other fucking Latin women. So she could
She
have
doesn't
the
want to
monopoly.
compete.
Yeah.
Hey, anyone who looks like her can have a green card. That's what I say.
She can have any card she wants. I don't give a fuck. Platinum
My
card,
credit
gold
card.
card. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you need?
Social security card, whatever you want, lady.
Yeah. Now.
Oh wow, there's no like full on ass pics for her?
No, there is. Go up.
Oh, there you go. Not bad.
And there's the other one. I know this like it's the. There you go.
Oh, I mean, this is what you're JO into, huh? Not bad. Not great.
Yeah, that's not the best picture.
Not bad.
The first one I pulled up I thought was better.
Yeah, I agree with you. Now, here's the better question. When Kid Rock and Lauren Boebert are getting it on, you think that's a good romp session? You think it's short. You think Kid Rock's a great lover because he's done so much of it. You think he's short. He's got a little wiener and he's not exciting. Do you think she has no idea what she's doing?
I don't think he has a little wiener.
Okay.
I certainly don't think Kid Rock. I don't think you can start as a rapper and then gradually become a country singer
with a little wiener.
Yeah, like other. I guess Jelly Roll probably. At least it's got to be at least hidden by fat.
I would think so.
Yeah, but he's from Detroit. You know what I mean? To have that much confidence hanging out with Detroit black guys who are black guys in the cold,
right?
I feel like you got to have a good piece.
Or maybe it's the trailer bad penis around black guys and figuring out how to plow forward is what builds that confidence.
That's a good fucking point.
It makes you fucking crazy where you're like, I deserve it all. And then learning, I can just get over this shit.
Have I ever told you I've talked to when James Franco was going to NYU? This is before like a lot of the.
I heard he had a tiny wiener.
So yeah,
like micro penis.
Multiple female bartenders told me that they hooked
penis.
up with him, or that they had friends who hooked up with him, and like he had a tiny, and then would act like there was nothing wrong.
Well, you got to. I mean, that's how he became a good actor.
I guess, but like he's not that good of an actor.
You know, I mean, you did the naked roast, but it was bananas. That guy who almost had like Ivan Drago's body.
Oh yeah,
he was like 6'7", gorgeous and
tiny wiener.
Tiny.
I found out afterwards he was a bottom.
That it makes no like. It's just the whole thing is backwards. You know.
Oh, like that he has that good of a body and is a bottom?
Yeah, and is a bottom and has such a, like, the whole thing. And had, like, the thick southern drawl, like, in the way he talks. Like, he talked like he was the Texas quarterback in a high school movie.
Yeah.
He had that look and that accent.
I don't know, man. If you want to fuck a dude, you want to be if you want to be a top and you want to top a dude.
Right.
I think you want to fuck a muscular dude that's hairless. Okay. With that kind of jockey voice, and then also you're dominating a guy that looks like that, and you dive like imagine you're a gay guy, right? And let's say you're like an overly fruity gay guy, but you happen to be a top. You meet that guy. Now you're fucking in the ass,
right?
A guy who reminds you of your high school bully who has a smaller cock than you.
There you go.
I think that if I was a gay man, I don't think anything else would turn me on more than that.
I think what I was initially getting at is, though, how funny it is, because I totally understand looking at that guy with his clothes on, how if you were a lady at Skankfest, you go, that's the guy I'm going to sleep with. And it's so funny if that guy was straight, ending up with that guy, just being like, oh, this sucks. Like, this, because you don't know until you get the guy naked, and you're like, man, this was a mistake.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's kind of so funny being a gorgeous, tall, tiny dick.
Yeah. Not to bring it back to the miscegenation thing again.
Yeah.
But I have black friends who maybe don't have the hugest cocks.
Right.
And I once talking to a guy who's like getting very self-conscious. He's like, there's nothing worse than like just a woman expecting. He's like, it's not bad.
Right, but
expecting because he's tall.
They're expecting slave wiener.
Yeah, he's tall and like in shape black guy.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, it's definitely. They're probably thinking the white guys they hooked up with have bigger pieces, even though it's on par or the same or even maybe a little bit better.
Right.
But they're not remembering it the way because they're just the initial disappointment of when it first comes out. He's like, I've seen it on their faces. He's like, there's nothing more deflating than seeing that on some girl's face.
Oh, that's remarkable.
That's got to be fucking weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like if you're a white guy and you even have a medium piece, they're like, good, all right, fine.
And then here's what's also fascinating about that. I have never had sex with someone just because they found me physically attractive in my whole life. That is not why anyone's sleeping with me. No one's like, this guy's so remarkably good looking. Yeah, and she was heavy.
There was at least the one that I know of.
But the point
and you didn't even sleep with her. You turned her down.
That's true.
She was heavy.
But a lovely lady. Anyways.
She doesn't, even if you heard this, that was so ambiguous. You didn't have to go and say, nobody knows who we're talking about. I didn't add any specifics.
Anyways, what was it? So if I'm having sex with someone, it's because they kind of liked me as a person. So that's funny as a dude where you're being objectified, where a lady just wants to have sex with you because she thinks you're the stereotype of having a big dick. And then you can't service that need.
Not just that, probably. Yeah. But like...
You're playing. You're playing.
You've played into it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
To get to the point where you're pulling your dick out, you're not playing into that.
Yeah, and women are worse at hiding like disappointment. Like I've had where a lady's really taped up her tits, and so you think that
they're phenomenal?
You think they're phenomenal, and they're nothing, but you just move on.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I say this, I've said this about any sexual encounter for a man, barring any odd smells, is fine. Like you're like women have bad sexual encounters.
Right.
Men like a woman could be the worst in bed ever if she's above a 5. She was good. It was good.
Here's where the encounter changes though, is the actual sexual encounter as a man can be more pleasant. The post-sexual encounter of a person who then expects something and builds something else in their head, I think is way worse as a dude. Now, as a lady, it can get scarier because then you're dealing with like a creep or like but
once you've had sex with a guy and you're now dealing with a creep, I don't know.
But no one cares about the guy's feelings.
Oh yeah, that's 100% true.
Yeah.
Like I've cut off women, and people have acted like I was being the worst person ever.
Right.
But in the reverse situation, if a woman had cut a man off for behaving the way this woman was behaving towards me,
right,
it would be fine. You know what I mean? But that's just kind of where it goes. There's a double standard because there's two sexes.
Yeah.
And I believe that's now government enforced. All right, we got to get the fuck out of here soon, but we'll talk a couple more things about this stuff. How do you feel about Eric Adams getting essentially pardoned?
I think
they dropped the charges. They didn't pardon.
Yeah. Listen, Eric Adams is an idiot, and he had really bad policy on immigration. He started off as full, hey, we got to have compassion. Mm-hmm. He saw the way that played out, and he instantly realized, oh, I'm bankrupting the city. This does not make sense. The logistics on this don't make sense. We need to have border walls. We can't just have people coming in here.
Well, he started off with the initial thing was kind of before Abbott was sending immigrants here.
Yeah.
He did the same thing that
Well, it's easy to talk a game about compassion when you don't have to pay the price.
Compassionate, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. When you don't have to pay the price.
Well, it's it's the celebrity saying stay home from their mansions.
Yes. And so the second the price tag came due, he started flipping and actually saying, guys, this policy makes no sense. And Biden was running for re-election. And so I think they brought a phony lawsuit to try and get rid of him. What made no sense about that lawsuit is, all right, I would put in the category of soft corruption. If government is supposed to come and, firstly, I mean, you should get special treatment if you're a consult or whatever they call them. What are they called?
A diplomat?
But the diplomatic buildings. What are those called?
Consulates.
Consulates. You should get special status as a I'm not saying that that's the way the world should work, but if you need the fire marshal to check out 2 buildings in New York City, and one's Chris's restaurant and the other one's the Algerian, what's it called again?
Consulate.
They go to the Algerian consulate first. I don't know why, but they should.
What is the Algerian consulate really adding? Not even a good. You didn't even pick a good country.
I'm just fine. The
Japanese consulate.
The Japanese consulate.
Sure.
All right. So if you need fire marshals, and the fire marshals should be doing their job of giving permits, and all you're doing is bumping someone up the list because the fire marshals here are so corrupt that they won't go somewhere unless the mayor calls them and says, "Hey, I need you to actually do your job." He didn't tell them, hey, I need you to...
Yeah, they'll get there. It'll just take forever.
He didn't say, I need you to violate the code. He didn't say, I need you to give these people a pass on something. He didn't ask them to break the law. He just said, hey, I need you to actually do your job. And supposedly, in return for having an organization in New York actually do their job, he got free flights on the shittiest airline that's ever existed.
Air Turkey?
I'm just saying... There's corruption.
I bet Frontier is still worse.
There's corruption stories of I'm going to put this guy in jail because the prison union and private prison's going to send me money. That's hard corruption. We are like, hey, you're an evil motherfucker, and you should be going to jail for that. And then there's I'm going to bump you up the list because because you actually just had access to me to let me know that the fire marshal's not coming to your building. Anyways. The lawsuit, when you end up getting brought up on shit like that, it's almost sounds like they couldn't get anything else on you.
Okay.
And he might be a corrupt guy. I'm just saying that specific case is such a nonsense in the scheme of government corruption, of just soft nonsense corruption, it seems to me like the Bidens were very specifically trying to shut him up for starting to be honest about the immigration problem. And now we've shifted.
Well, that's what other people.
Yeah.
That's the running theory about why he got charged. Like, there's
Yeah.
no shortage of graft in New York City. I mean, like literally. I mean, what I feel like I've told you this before. When I needed actually fire permits for a specific piece of equipment, when I called the fire department, they were just like, "There's nothing. You need to do this, this, and this. Blah 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 blah. You have to like show a hardship. That is vague." And I was like, "Well, I'm not allowed to put a hood system in, so I need this other thing." It was called a ventless fryer, where it's a fire suppression system above your deep fryer, and it's a standalone piece of equipment. It's completely legal in the entire rest of the country, and I couldn't. They were just like, "No, you're just not going to be able to have a deep fryer," and I ended up not doing it anyway. It's too expensive. But I called somebody I knew who was high up at the fire department, and he was just like, "Just file it. Tell me what the day you file it. I'll wait a day, and I'll walk into the office that oversees it, and I'll just go, yeah, that's a good guy, and you'll get approved." And you're correct. That's just how New York works. And like the idea that like, I think one of the things he got was like, wasn't it he had a layover in Turkey to go to Florida? He didn't even get the plugs while he was there. He's a very bald man. You'd think
he represents baldness well, though.
Yeah, he doesn't look bad. He does always look like a high-level henchman.
Yeah.
For like a Batman or Dick Tracy villain.
Yeah.
Like not like he's not the top guy, he's not the bottom guy, but he's the guy that you have to like shake down so you can find out where Two-Face is.
So he's an idiot. He had a bad policy. The actual lawsuit, I think, was nonsense, and Trump's throwing out nonsense because it was really over the optics of the immigration story, and that he stopped selling. He stopped selling the narrative, and Trump got his back to go, "No, this is just Biden being dirty."
Oh,
this happened during the election. Yeah, it happened during the election.
Oh, that's what. Trump actually said.
Trump got his
back. I've heard
back
like pundits saying it.
No. When from what I recall, when it was happening, Trump had called it out that it was.
Especially since so much more of this city went to Trump.
Yeah,
and it's probably the same demographics that voted for Eric Adams, and that's why he won over like a crazy progressive like a Bill de Blasio.
Yeah, I mean they did a good job of hiding the how bad the immigration thing was for a pretty good stretch of time. But
you think so?
Yeah, but then it became like when Eric Adams completely flips and goes, "I cannot govern." We cannot operate anymore because of the mess that this is causing. That becomes, there's no way to repaint that picture and go, no, this works.
Yeah, I mean, it can't possibly work. I mean, look, if you rode a bicycle around that one winter where it got really bad and you almost got clipped every 10 feet by an e-bike.
If you look this up, and this is just on paper, the cost of these things are always more than what is actually reported. But Natalie, you might be able to find these stats. I think the cost of the border wall in total was maybe $20 billion.
Okay, that sounds correct.
And New York has spent, I think, far more than that already.
Just New York.
Just New York City on the illegal immigrants.
Yeah, but the idea that the border wall was going to work.
The border wall would certainly. All right, I think what ramped up people migrating to the country more than anything was the fact that they were essentially invited in. And that we started just processing.
Well, I think
them
more
into
than
the
that.
country.
I think. All right, look, people leave countries because, like, there was a diaspora happening because of what was going on in Venezuela and El Salvador, anyway, right?
No, I understand that the conditions down south, if they were particularly good, people would be less motivated to come here. But
think about how bad things got here during COVID.
Right.
That's exacerbated in these other countries where things were already very bad. I think that also, I mean, like, I don't think you can downplay that. And then the fact that you end like a leave in Mexico policy very publicly and other stuff, I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, exactly. You have the administration who had been for 4 to 8 years. Like, if anything else, it's like the people who bring these people here, who guide them here, we're using Democratic talking points as propaganda to fucking scam these people.
Right.
I'm sure these people got here and thought it would be easier than it was because they're being lied to by con men. Like, this is not like the people who are a lot of the people who are showing up at the border are victims of criminals, not criminals.
I agree.
Yeah, like, so it's like I do kind of agree with your point.
But America building a wall makes it more difficult to come here, and then if there's further border enforcement past that, it disincentivizes people because they're at risk for never getting into the country and wasting their money. When you purposely don't build a border wall, you weld it open, you process people into the country as quickly as possible, you start putting out resources in South America for how they can come into the country, you're kind of signaling to people, hey, this is your opportunity if you want to come here, and you're incentivizing people to show up. So I think the $20 billion to build a border wall and then you don't need as many people to enforce it. You know what I mean? If it's just open land, that's harder to maintain than if there's some sort of physical structure there. So, no, I think the border wall is probably a fairly effective and is cost efficient versus having to house everyone that comes across.
Okay. Well, we'll see. It's definitely cheaper than building a bunch of detention facilities to hold the migrants.
Yeah, or housing centers, or paying for kids' schooling, paying for medical treatment. There's a lot of costs that come along with having these people here.
Still, though, I really like being able to go to a diner late.
I'm all for it. Listen, I don't think... I'll tell you what my idea is, and Trump, if you're listening to the Notes of a Goon podcast, I think I have the best idea for how to solve this. And I think there should be the great amnesty bill of, let's call it 2025. And these people have to sign away their rights they're allowed to stay in the country, but they're acknowledging that they're second-class citizens and that their children will not be citizens. And they have to pay taxes, but they're not going to be thrown out of the country.
And I'm actually kind of fine with that.
I think that's a fair trade-off. I think the problem is that...
Could their grandchildren be citizens?
I think that in the future, there could be a conversation about how we can integrate these people so that they can become citizens.
A path to citizenship.
I think there should be a path to citizenship.
At least for the children once they turn 18.
I think that's a secondary conversation. And I think and that could be as evil as, hey, if your family's producing X amount of money, I don't even know what that, or you went to college. I think
served in the military.
Yeah, because there's just something to be said for it's just not fair that new people can come into the country, vote against the people's interest of who's living here, the Jews. You're talking about another Israel situation, essentially.
That's what happened in Israel.
Yeah.
That is how Israel kind of became Israel.
Yeah. That's not fair. People didn't agree to that. And so you can't just pour people into the country and now have more resources for people because they snuck into the country. So, and I think
no matter how bad where they're coming from is, because obviously when that happened with Israel, it was the Jews. It was the Jews escaping Eastern European and German pogroms.
And if they vote for just more socialism, then we all are going downhill. You know, you need them to integrate into, and a lot of them are very American in spirit, in that they want to come here and work hard and live better lives.
Of course.
And for every single restaurant that has 4 people that have worked there for the last 20 years, it makes no sense to evict those people. But it also doesn't make sense that people endlessly can just pour in here uninvited against the will of the American people and change voting demographics. So I think the best solution across the board is you acknowledge the situation, you let them stay, but they have to agree to being second-class citizens, which includes paying taxes.
Well, I mean, forever.
Limited benefits. And yeah, perhaps even their kids and grandkids shouldn't be able to vote either. But guess what? It's not slavery. They could go back to those other countries if they wanted.
So you're saying you can even do a thing where you offer them a flight home?
Yeah, you're choosing that you want to stay here as a second-class citizen because that's a better opportunity.
Well, historically, I've had conversations about similar to this with immigration advocates, where it's like historically, southern border immigrants were single men willing to come here, work for almost nothing, send most of the money home, and then eventually go home.
Right.
Or work their way up, bring their family here. But the social contract in this, when people say that America is a country of immigrants, which it is, people ignore the fact that the social contract for 90% of the immigrant classes that have ever come here, including Eastern Europeans in the last 40 years, right, was that they would be second-class citizens. Like, the reason why Asians own dry cleaners is because they lived in the dry cleaners. Like, literally, they would put a bed. I've been in the back of a Chinese restaurant in the last 20 years in Brooklyn where there were trundle beds next to the kitchen. because that just has been the social contract.
And whoever was showing up, and maybe I'm just wrong on this, but I don't even think when my grandparents showed up here, they were just being handed free schooling, beds, education.
I'm sure high school has existed for a very long time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like my dad was
migrant centers.
How old is your grandfather?
He's dead.
Well, how old would he be? My dad would be 90, right?
Yeah, about 90.
So like he went to Erasmus High School.
What's that? I mean,
it's a fucking public high school.
Yeah, my grandfather went to Stanford High.
Yeah, it's a public high school. So I'm sorry, up to high school, yeah, there was free education. There was, back then nobody went to college. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm saying the generation or two generations in my family, might even be three. Like people that were migrating here, they ended up living with family. It's not even like they were.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't think there were just even migrant centers. Like when the Italians or whoever showed up to New York, where
they dropped my Uncle Tony off before my dad. My dad was the only one born here. They literally dropped my Uncle Tony off with some relatives on a farm in Pennsylvania, and that's why he's not close. He wasn't as close to the rest of the family.
Right.
And like he moved back with them once he got a little bit older, but he was the youngest, and they kind of just were like, "Hey, can you take care of this baby? We're gonna live in New York in shitty conditions, and we're just gonna bring the kids who can work." And that was kind of what happened. And they were like, I think they were like 10 at the time. You know what I mean? Like it's like, so that's just kind of the way it fucking worked.
You know, I don't know how any of my family, like I know on my dad's side, they all seem to be here like 3 generations back.
Mm-hmm.
At some point from Eastern Europe, but seem to have been here a pretty long time. On my mom's side, I remember I remember my great grandmother as a kid because she was around. She lived to like 93, 94.
Mm-hmm.
But like she somehow got here from Siberia as a kid.
She walked across the Bering Strait.
I have, but I don't know the story.
You could probably
there.
open a casino if
she was
that's
like
true.
She was like in a Siberian like work prison or some shit, like something fucking crazy. And
yeah, that's wild.
Just had an uncle here, and so they were able to ship her here somehow. I don't even know.
Wow, probably a steamship.
Some crazy shit. Yeah,
fucking drilled some hole. Luckily, they drilled a hole in the crate.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, she made it. All right. Well, this has been Notes of a Goon. That's a weird downer to end on.
She made it.
Oh yeah, I guess that's a story of perseverance.
And now you know how many Jews are running around from off of her. Not for me, but all the other Jewish relatives.
How many Jews fell out of her uterus?
Oh my god, dude! Yeah. All my cousins, they pump out 4 or 5 apiece, like fucking rats.
She was like
dude.
Lilith in the fucking Bible.
Yeah,
just fucking having demon seed running around.
And they're all making so much money.
Well, that's fucking crazy. All right, well, you got anything to plug?
Check out the Run Your Mouth podcast. Putting out 1 or 2 a week, and hopefully some more tour dates coming soon.
Some porch tours?
Yeah, I haven't done any work on it yet, but at some point I'll take some Adderalls and actually get it done.
What point at me?
Because you know Adderalls, and so you know what I'm talking about when I say Adderalls.
All right, well, all right. Good night.
And